Hello, my dear church boys, and welcome back to St. Robert's podcast. In this podcast episode, I'm simply sitting down with a student I coaching in Porto, Portugal, and we were simply chatting over our morning coffee. We met here in Porto for a 5-day residential. Initially, we were supposed to go to Warsaw in Poland, but because of restrictions, we didn't go there. We wanted to go to Kiev in Ukraine, then to South of France, but then again restrictions happened, and then we settled on going to Porto, which is a nice city next to Atlantic Ocean in Portugal. It's small, it's nice, you can go out, you can have fun, people are out, everyone's happy. You do have to wear masks on the street, so actually all 5 days of coaching we did was we were wearing masks, girls were wearing masks, and you would actually only see the girl without the mask when you go on a date. This student, Paulo, had a little background in daygame. He had tried daygame before with some small successes. He decided to come for a 5-day residential. And in the beginning, he had to unlearn a lot of things he was doing. He had watched a lot of videos on YouTube. He had met other daygamers, other guys that kind of coached him a little bit, but he learned a lot of things wrong. So he had to unlearn that. At one point, he had to leave his ego at the door when he realized it's not going to be a magic pill that's just going to get him numbers, dates, and lays left and right from the first day of coaching. But in the end, he understood what it's all about, what's the most important thing he needs to learn during the coaching, and he learned it. And this chat ends with Paulo telling a story about a beautiful Portuguese girl he met and slept with. And in the end, there is a nice bonus which happened after we recorded this conversation later the same day. You'll hear him talk about the free texting courses and dating courses that helped him get more responses from girls and helped him get more dates. So if you want to check those out, simply go to daygamecourses.com and sign up there. You'll get access to 2 free dating courses and 2 free texting courses. And you'll also be subscribed to St. Robert's mailing list, which means if I ever have something interesting to share with my audience, with my followers that doesn't make it to the podcast just because I can't talk about everything on a podcast, I usually send it out to my mailing list. And also when you join the site, in the welcome email you'll get a link. It's an invitation link to join a group chat with more than 180 day gamers from all over the world. If you decide after listening to this podcast that you want to get some Infield coaching as well, then a few things about that. First of all, I'm leaving Europe in a few weeks and I'm going away for at least a few months. I'm going to Mexico. So if you want to get some Infield coaching in Europe this year, then you have to sign up until the Saturday evening, because I have to book my flights and figure out where I'm going after that. So this is published on a Friday. On Saturday, by Saturday evening, I have to know whether you want to do something, and we'll figure out the places, the place where we can do this, and all other logistics. I can either go to where you are if they let me in, or you can come to Portugal. It doesn't really matter. The next thing is, if you are from US, if you are one of my many American followers, then I will be in Mexico, which means you can come down to Mexico for some adventures and some Infield coaching. I'll go to several cities and I'll check out several cities. I figure out which one I like more, and I'll probably spend a month there. Mr. T is coming as well. Mario is probably coming as well, and a few other guys you guys haven't heard about. So if you want to join me in Mexico for some Infield coaching, send me an email to robert@strobert.blog. That is robert@strobert.blog. Or simply when you sign up for the mailing list or for daygamecourses.com, respond to the welcome email and say, hey, I want to sign up for Infield coaching either in Europe or in Mexico, and we will talk all the details, dates, cities, prices, etc. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I enjoyed recording it, and I'll tell you the story about what happened after we recorded this chat and what happened the same evening at the end of this podcast. Hello guys, I'm sitting here in Porto, lovely small city in Portugal, where I was coaching Paulo for 5 days, but we kind of stretched them out and took a bit longer to do them. And in this recording, I just want to chat about Paulo's story. What's his background, how he came to learn day game, how did the day game coaching go, and eventually we will end this short recording with a story how I couldn't fall asleep yesterday. I was watching Netflix and listening to Paulo banging a local Portuguese chick he met on the street. So, hey Paulo.
Hello.
So what's your story? Give us a little background information.
Yeah, my background is in software development and building business assets. And most recently, I became a dance teacher, a dance professional of the Latin and African dances in Ireland. And yeah, that's my background.
How old are you?
I'm 43. I'm father of two, 18 and 17 boys. And I was living in Ireland until this whole pandemic started and completely changed my life. So recently, I've been traveling as a digital nomad in places like the south of France and now most recently in the beautiful city of Porto.
Yeah, because we wanted to actually do this, and well, we had several ideas. Because I was going to Poland, you signed up to come to Poland, but then they changed everything there. You got your hair transplant, so we decided to put a pause on that. Then we wanted to do this in south of France, and I think like a few days before I had to go there, like lock it down or something like that, or like a week before that. And then we wanted to move this to Kiev, to Ukraine, and we ended up going to Porto, Portugal, which I think was a really, really nice decision. So what was you had done some day game before, you actually had a few day game lays before coaching. So can you tell us a little bit more about day game before coaching?
Yeah, so before I got coaching with you, I was basically just kind of running up to girls and saying, "Hey, you look gorgeous. My name is Paulo," kind of thing. And and yeah, I mean, sometimes you do meet the right girl at the right time, and yeah, and you make up from it. And now what I realized was that that was a bit of a obviously I still had to kick my balls to go and talk to the girls, but essentially a lot of times I was finding reasons not to talk to the girls, or my open was weak and I had no idea really what I was doing wrong or what I was doing right. But yeah, I was able to meet some lovely girls in the south of France, and that led to some lays. But you also have to understand that I used to go out a lot back in the day, and I used to dance. So I was used to be around women and the, the the night pub crawls in Ireland and all that. So I had been with girls before, but since this whole pandemic started, the whole day game topic became a lot more attractive to me. But at the beginning, I was very scared to do it in my city when I was living in Ireland. I thought that like the girls were gonna call the police or something like that, or I had to be kind of going indirect and then kind of so I didn't have the balls to do it, to go and do it. When I moved to the south of France, beautiful summer, lots of ladies in dresses and all the girls coming from Paris, that kind of made it a little bit more easy for a start. But as the pandemic went along and the summer started to fade away, I realized that I was struggling to actually um, get some proper contacts from day game. I did really had a clue what I was doing, except trying to stop the girl and saying, "You look fucking gorgeous. My name is Paulo." which sometimes works.
Sometimes does, yes. That's the beauty of it. It sometimes does.
But so working with you was definitely something that.
Why did you decide to? Because you were hanging out with day gamers already. Let's not name names or organizations in general. I don't want to do that. But why did you decide to get coaching instead of kind of keep doing what you were doing? Because you had day gamers around you.
Excellent question. That's a good question. So essentially, the reason behind that was to do with time. I realized that just being natural and being yourself was like a utopia. And okay, I mean, sometimes there is a spark. It doesn't really matter what you say. You do meet a girl in the right time, right? But that's not really game. And I noticed as well from the guys I was hanging out with that they were putting a lot of volume and not getting a lot of action. And so I realized that it must have been a lot of different areas that were important that I was not touching. And that's what made me to get help and look to a professional and get coaching, because I thought, look, if I get coaching with a guy that is used to get results, I will I would fast forward my progress, and I will be able to see results and understand what works and what doesn't work, rather than me just trying to fidgeting and talk about it, and which is fine, which is a lot what a lot of guys do. And then sometimes they blame the girls, sometimes they blame COVID, sometimes they blame that there's not enough traffic or they're not hot enough. When in reality, they just they're just kind of pounding to a wall and not really getting results and not having things with a lot of structure. And I actually ended up failing to get a good volume of lays that give them the confidence to keep going. So in a nutshell, what made me reach out to you was because I found you on the podcast. I start applying some of your free text game guides to transform my leads, because I was getting some leads, even sometimes just meeting a girl in the bar, getting her number, and then straight away I was trying to pull her to get out. So once I start listening to your podcast, then I fall into the dark side of Mr. Robert. And yeah, and this kind of magic trick coded into my head, and I just give you my credit card. No, yeah. So essentially, the text
Text
guide.
game. You see some results from some free materials. That's actually what I suggest guys do. I have spoken about this before. Is how do you find out whether to work with someone? Is try the stuff the person gives away for free. And if you see improvements, then hire him. And if you don't see improvements, then well, think twice about it. Or like get like a cheap option to try it out, whether that's the right thing for you to do or not, and then kind of pull the trigger. Okay, so we arrived here in Porto a few weeks ago. It was rainy as fuck. We decided to take the first day off because it's COVID times. I didn't have anything planned after this, so we kind of stretched it out a little bit. So we went out. And in the first day, in the first session, I think you number closed the first grill you opened or something like that.
Yeah, I did actually.
Next to the train station, you went, and so what was the beginning? What was the beginning like for you? What was like the first thing, the first impression? Because I know this is like when guys come for coaching, this is like they made a big decision in their life. We actually spoke about this how it's like they're waiting for it, they're like excited about it. So what was the beginning like? What was the first day like when you were out approaching and doing coaching? What was the experience like?
So the experience was at the beginning excitement. I thought that I was gonna have a lot of fun. That I was just gonna stop beautiful girl after beautiful girl and get number after number.
Yeah, you came in with really high expectations. It was like, yeah, not gonna happen.
Yeah, and then I started to actually go through the few rejections and understand that I had a lot of sticking points or a few. Essentially, I was kind of mirroring the girl reaction rather than keeping my frame. Sometimes, it's COVID time, or, you stop a girl in the middle of the street with a mask. She's a little bit scared, and, it's just coming from that. So, yeah, there was a lot of scenarios um, where I felt my ego being shuttered, and and finding excuses, not to approach because I was thirsty or I was hungry or
Oh, that was fun. Yeah,
or
we missed like half a session or more because you decided I want a coffee, I want this, I want a nata.
yeah.
Yeah, you were pretty good at finding ways to take breaks when you were not in the right mindset, but you kind of learned pretty fast that that's not the way to go. You shouldn't take a break. You should just keep approaching. Um, okay, so the first revelation was basically, oh, this is harder than I expected.
Yeah, this is harder than I expected. And then it was about stop trying to just be a natural and actually applying structure to the interaction. And what I started to realize, surprisingly, was that actually applying the structure allowed you to actually be more natural because you were just really in the moment, deep looking the girl in the eye, smiling, speaking slowly, good body posture, closing strong rather than maybe.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I got some numbers that did reply, and a lot of the girls were a lot younger than me. Some of them would be girls that I never would have approached on my own before coaching. And yeah, and then I suppose I became improved, right? So that
Yeah. So the first what you said about when you stop being a natural and use structure, it makes you more natural. That's something I've noticed a lot in coaching, and that's why I coach in a very structured way. Because if you know exactly what you're gonna say and you practice the beginning of a set so many times, and you don't have to think about what you're going to say. You can instead, so you're doing it on autopilot, and instead you can focus on your body language, your posture, your voice, and you can notice things about girl that you can use later in the conversation. So the first thing was you noticed it's much harder. So, and then I think at one point, in the middle, I think you had like a phase where you were drilling with no fucking results, like no results. But you kept drilling. You knew that what you have to do, you have to understand how to come up with a good material, how to learn to use a good material, how to learn to stop, to do a good open, how to do a good stack, and then learn storytelling. And that was like I think the hardest part for you, or the hardest point. I think it was like in the middle of our 5 days where it was like several sessions, like you could do 10 sets and not get a single number, but at the same time, those sets you were doing better than you did before, so you were actually drilling those, you were working on your skills, and that's when the real progress I think started. You went to, okay, now I have to use structure. You start using the structure, nothing kind of works, and then you use the structure more and more and more, and you learn to use it, and boom, then the results start coming. You start getting a number here, a number there, number here, number there. And I was very happy to see that you could understand that that's what's happening, because you went out and you did a session with the session, and I see that you did 10 opens, and there were no numbers, and you said, oh my God, this was the best session ever. I learned so much. This is incredible. Oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is great. I was like, what? You didn't get a single number, but you were focusing on the right things. And then on one of the last sessions, yeah, like last few sessions, you were already like doing pretty good sets. You're getting several numbers in a session. And then it was the last session. And in the last session, what I do is, to those who don't know, I let the student go and do his sets. I'm sometimes not even listening to the sets. I'm just making sure a student can day game on his own, he's doing enough sets, and learns to analyze his own sets. So we were walking down the street, and there was a girl that you wanted to approach, but she went down the stairs to enter a parking, like a underground parking or something. So can you tell the story? What happened?
Yeah, it's a very funny story. So this is kind of at the end of the last day, I think, and I'm getting momentum. I'm also getting a little bit tired. The sun is starting
Set.
to set, and I saw this girl, and I was not sure if I had opened it before, so I went to Robert. Is this that girl that I opened twice? And she was like, not happy with that, and he was like, and then there was not really time to think, so I decided, fuck it, I'd go anyway. So I run up, and by the time I reached, she was starting to go down the stairs, and I was like, well, I had to raise my voice now and just call her from the top.
Yeah, that was a good thing to do, because going downstairs would be like, oh, this is really rapey and creepy. But if you stay on the top, because it was like such an entrance to the parking that if you enter there, it would be a disaster. Yeah. So you decided to stay outside and talk to her from there.
Yeah, so I said, excuse me, sorry, I hope you have some English. And she was like, yeah, I do. And then I just did the opener, and she loved it. She run up the stairs. Was like, what's going on here? And then when she came up the stairs, I could feel that she was a really feminine woman with a lot of presence. And if she's ever listening to this podcast,
she was very nice. No, we're not saying anything bad about her at all. She seemed very nice and amazing, and the way you talked about her date was, I saw you like her, so she can. That I like to talk about girls in a way, or when I write lab reports now, I write them in a way that I could show them to the girl, and she would be glad to see them. So
yeah, so essentially, I told her that that she looked beautiful, and I had to run up to her, and she was actually very relaxed, and then she told me it was her day off, and we just kind of started vibing afterwards. And very interesting was that, as I had a pass in dance, so did she, and which not exactly made any difference. Actually, made her a little bit apprehensive at the start. Because like, this is kind of weird.
Is he stalking me?
Is he really a dance teacher? So guys, that didn't make any difference. By the contrary, it wasn't about my dance moves or anything. It was just really the magic of that interaction. And so lovely girl, really fun and exciting personality. So we changed numbers, and we started basically texting from that day, and we managed to go for a few drinks, and so that was the first date. We went for a few drinks, and we enjoyed our time, and then nothing really happened that night.
Come on, a lot of things happened that night.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so then I can say in the podcast, okay, why not? So essentially we went to bar number one, and this was like a craft beer venue with students, and we enjoyed our craft beers there. And then we went to another place where where we had some lovely wine. We were kind of first waiting for seats outside. Then we went inside to this kind of tall chairs, and we sit next to each other. And and then the kiss happened in the bar, and it was, really, really, really good. And then we went back to the car park where I had met her in the first time. She had to work, and there's like restrictions with COVID and all this.
Yeah, because we actually didn't talk about that. We have a curfew at 11 and masks on the street. So we were doing 5 days of coaching, approaching every time with a mask. Everyone was with a mask. We were with masks. And like, what changed in day game? Nothing fucking changed.
Nothing changed. Now, the funny thing was that she then later told me, well, that day, so we went back to the car, and I played some tunes in the car, and then she stopped the car, and we had a bit of make out in the car, like back in the
And you tried to pull the trigger. That's good. That's good.
Well, I lowered the seat. This was in middle of the street at maybe 9 or 10 p.m. So I realized actually, if I wanted, I probably would have been able to bring her home in that first date. I realize now that it was just, but anyway, I didn't.
That doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter. It happened.
As long as it happened.
It still happened. So yeah. Then she said at that stage, it was all me. It was basically the way I stopped her, the way I talked, the way I present myself. She said it was the all package. And then when she said to her friends, and her friends were like, "And are you going?" And she's like, "Yes, yes." So there's a really interesting part here. So she had been together with a guy for 5 years, and things didn't work out because he had something else going on in his life. Let's leave it like that.
Okay.
And she had to break that relation. Now this is not the usual thing that guys might be thinking. What it is?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Let's just say she probably has a trauma after what happened, she needed something. She needed a real masculine guy who was balls to say hi on the street when she's entering, because almost no one would approach in that situation. Oh, on the last day of coaching, yeah, but on the first days, almost no one would open in that scenario. So, what happened next?
So then we kept texting, and it was interesting because there was a big gap. There's big restrictions in the weekend. So she didn't come out during the weekend because there's a curfew.
Yeah, we can't go out after 1 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday.
And so we kept nice and sweet on the texting with a bit more of intimacy, but still
no dick pics.
Huh?
No dick pics.
No dick pics. No dick pics.
You missed the most important video of my texting course. First, what's the best message to send a girl when you just get a number, send a dick pic?
Yeah, Mr. Robert said it. This is the secret. Just send her a dick pic. So yeah, it was a bit of challenging because we met, was it Thursday night or Friday night, and I didn't pull the trigger, although I was close. And then segueing this into last night, Wednesday, it was something that worked out pretty well. So yesterday we met to go for sushi, and look, I like sushi, and it's not about bringing a girl out for dinner.
With that. That's totally fine. You're not 20 and you're not looking to save money and whatever. I mean, if you like sushi, you can go with a girl for sushi. Not on the first date, but the second date, nothing wrong with that. Even on the first might be fine, but it's tricky. Second is okay. So
we went for sushi and we split the bill, by the way. We split the bill. We had a great time. We built comfort, and we shared stories about dance teaching in Porto and her life and her work, and my life, and then it was clear that things were gonna get.
You have to drink wine on a balcony.
Yeah, so we said that we'd had to go back to my place to have to dance, but obviously we
You
didn't
didn't
dance.
dance. You went straight to your room. I know that.
We didn't dance. We didn't have wine. We did go to the balcony.
Oh, you did? Because I was watching Netflix and I was like, oh, he's went straight to the room. Like, he closed the windows. I heard. I'm like, okay, that's interesting.
So yeah, it was great. She's an amazing girl.
She's a screamer.
And yeah, magic in Porto happened, and it was my first Porto flag. And today we're having
Celebrating.
a bit of a local pastry with some Porto cakes and some coffee.
Before we start our work days. You work and I have a surfing lesson at 11.
So yeah, so guys, this was a very basically transforming experience for me. Coaching, stepping to get coaching is a decision, and then it's great to have someone that is experienced that can drill you. And
That's
yeah.
what she said.
So Robert, thanks for your patience, and those days where I was a bit grumpy and
That's my job. I've seen things. I've seen very different reactions. I've seen people who can't approach, like they can't, and like you have to get them through that, and you have to get them to approach. Like you were doing really good, as I told you when we did the review. Because like after a coach a student, I do a review where I tell them what was good, what was bad, what they should work on. And I told you did good. You have your background of being a dance teacher, being around girls, being like going to bars, meeting girls. So you have that background. You just needed to learn to play in a new sandbox, and to kind of figure out how things work here, which was scary for you. It was visible, but it's scary for you. And your ego thing, obviously, most likely is also connected to you having success before, and now you come to this new playground, and all of a sudden, like shit. The reality hits you in the face. It's not that easy to get laid all of a sudden in this new way of approaching. But yeah, nice.
Yeah, and one more thing before we finish, I suppose it's important to say is that, so I'm Portuguese, and I came and get coaching in Portugal, and at the beginning we were talking with the girls in English, and then in the last day you said, just talk in Portuguese, you're Portuguese, and I start switching to Portuguese, and that was really surprising. That didn't change, so that didn't change me being Portuguese speaking in English, and then also with Portuguese girls, and then speaking in Portuguese. So the no matter the language, the framework does work.
Of course.
And the girls like to be approached by a Portuguese guy, not just by a tourist.
Yeah, those are like many things guys tell themselves, like, oh, like they like tourists better, oh, they like locals better. Like if you are living in the city, guys will say, oh, they like foreign day gamers better. If you are a foreign day gamer, they'll say, oh, it's easier if you're local. And even you were kind of scared to approach in English because, well, you're Portuguese, so why the fuck would you speak in English? But we had a good excuse for that because you've been living abroad for many years, and you said, oh, I've been living abroad for many years, and it's much easier for me to speak in English. And girls were very fine with that, as long as you were fine with it. And yeah, it's I think one of the reasons why I just kind of like, oh, this doesn't work because of blah 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 blah. Well, it has been fun. Some fun time. What's the plan for day game from now?
So my plan for day game, I realized that you have to really. I'm still in a phase where I should have at least 3 days a week where I do about 2 hours day game to to sink in drilling and to get to get more notches. Like we only live once, and girls are not getting laid, and that's guys' fault, and we can change that. So I'm willing to transform girls' lives and offer them a good time.
Good drilling.
So I feel that there are a lot of lives that can be touched, and it's really about putting the ego aside and going to talk to girls, and it's a really transformational process because I suppose, Robert, we can't really tell everything here, right? But there's a lot of life changing happening from the way you groom yourself, the way you dress, which I suppose is something probably for different.
Oh, by the way, yeah, how did you see, because you got Anna's lookbook as well. So how was that in like a short story or like
It just
shortly?
it just really gives you a lot more confidence and all the non-verbals, right? So language is only 7% about what you say, and it's still very important. However, the way your body language is way more important. So when you stop a girl and you have the good body language, and you're dressed with a leather jacket or, cool white sneakers and ripped jeans, and you have that kind of bad boy and casual and sport looking. For me, being a 43-year-old, stopping 21, 22, if I'm just dressed like an old man, obviously, it's harder for me to keep my frame because you ended up reacting to her frame. But if you're dressed in a cool way, with charm, with personality, that's really going to give you an edge, and then you hold your frame a lot better. um, and yeah, it just does. Obviously, it also takes time for you to interiorize this new character
Of course.
that make it part of you. But most importantly, it does give you more power for a stronger frame to go into this seduction journey.
Okay. Well, thank you for telling your story. I hope guys liked it. And bye, guys.
See you.
And now, guys, the promised story about what happened later the same day. So I went to surf school. I set up a date with one of the girls that was at the school. I chilled out with a few other people from there, and we are thinking about taking a surf trip together. And I come home and I'm really, really tired, and I decide to go for a nap. And as I'm going for a nap, Paulo says, "Oh, I'm gonna go for a walk." An hour later, I wake up from my nap and I receive a text a few minutes later, "I'm pulling now." And the guy just went for a walk. So what happened is earlier the same day, he number closed a beautiful girl, and he even sent me a picture saying, "Oh, this is the result of my afternoon stroll." And when he went out for a walk, he saw that girl again. They went for a few drinks, and it literally took him less than like I don't know, like an hour or so to pull her back home and fuck her on the balcony of our Airbnb overlooking the beautiful city of Porto. We have a two. Our Airbnb has two floors, so I was on the top one, and as I'm going to the bathroom on the top floor, I think I heard them fucking on the balcony. So that was pretty fun. And so that's two day game lays back to back. One was on the day when we record this podcast, and one was the night before. So I think that's a really nice result for after a 5 day residential. I'm really proud of the result Paulo got, and this to me here such a growth in a student is I just always love when this happens, and when I see good results in my students. So guys, if as I told you before, if you want to sign up for the last coaching in Europe this year, then send me an email as soon as possible or send me a message on Telegram, because I'm booking my flights probably Sunday or Monday. So let me know by the end of Saturday. We have to sort it all out by the end of Saturday. And if you want to go to Mexico for some more Infield coaching, then from US supposedly, then shoot me an email as well, or just sign up to my mailing list and respond to the welcome email and say you want to come to Mexico. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, then please give this video a thumbs up on YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts, then please leave this podcast a 5-star review, because it simply helps me reach more guys and help more guys take control of your dating life. Or if you have a wing who would benefit from listening to this podcast, then just send a link to this podcast to your wing. Thank you for listening, and bye.